My name is Shayna, and last year has been a pretty tough one for my husband and I. We went through two pregnancy losses back to back, and we have been just trying to cope with that. The new year, I was pretty scared about it, nervous for what the new year was going to bring. Going into the new year, it was a little nerve-wracking for me. I didn't know what to expect. This was also going to be the year 2022 that we were going to bring both of our precious babies home, and unfortunately that's not happening. So it made me kind of feel stuck, not wanting to move forward, but also wanting to go back and relive that same pain. This video is going to be an updated mental health video, how I've been coping with everything and how I've been over the past 4.5 months. We lost our first baby in July of 2021, and then our second at the very end of September of 2021. So it's been almost 5 months since the last loss. So I have a little notebook here of things that I want to go over, my mental health, as well as the genetic testing of the fetus, the tissue to be tested to see if there was a genetic problem with the baby, and that's why it wasn't developing correctly. And a heartbeat, my blood work results back, going over whether or not I have a clotting disorder that may miscarriages. So we got both of those results back, and also the mental health. So we're just gonna jump right in. Obviously, the first couple of months were very, very hard. They were almost unbearable. It was excruciating. Right after the miscarriage, I was physically in pain, and I was also emotionally trying not to shut down. While I was going through it, I stayed strong. I've always been really good in a crisis, so while I was going through it, I knew what I needed to do. My body knew what it needed to do, and I was just focused on getting myself through it. And then after, everything had happened, I had passed the baby, kind of just lost it. Out on FMLA, so I was home, my husband was still working, and I was pretty much just alone with my thoughts, and I overthink literally everything, so my brain just kind of ran with it. And when that happened, I kept replaying over and over and over and over again in my head, and I couldn't get the image out of my head. It just wouldn't go away, and I kind of just broke down to my husband one night and told him how I was feeling, how everything was going, and how I felt like I couldn't talk to him because he didn't give me a chance. He just assumed that I was okay instead of making sure, like double, triple checking. And I would think that obviously that I'm not okay. I just literally held our dead kid in my hand. So that was literally like verbatim what that last part I said to him. I was like highly upset, and it put a strain on our marriage because I wasn't mentally okay, and it's taken me a while to find a good balance. I feel like I don't want to say completely healed from the losses. My first loss, I don't think I actually felt. It just I was numb to it, and it kind of just rolled off my shoulders. The second loss, it all hit me at once, and I just lost it, and I wasn't okay. What to do or how to fix it, and I turned to my faith, and I leaned on God a lot through it, and that definitely helped me, because a lot of things in this world will fail you. Husband failed me in the aspect he couldn't be there for me emotionally the way that I needed it, and that put a strain on me, and I didn't know what to do. So I turned to God, and a particular verse helped me through it. Isaiah 60:22. Time is right, I the Lord will make it happen. And I kind of just focused on that a lot because it just wasn't the right timing for these babies to be in the world, and I needed to kind of accept that, and I needed to believe it. I needed myself to believe it and not just think it or say it. So I have that like printed and taped up in my station at work, actually. So whenever I feel some type of way, I can just see it. I had triggers. Right after the losses, it would seem that the only thing I would see on my social media were pregnancy announcements or gender reveals or birth, or people going in to give birth and then announcing that their baby's here. So it was a lot, and it was to the point where I was ready to delete my social media, which obviously I don't want to do because I'm an oversharer, and I like to share my life and tell everyone my experiences, and I prefer writing it because I'm really, really good at that. And obviously when I speak, it doesn't always come out the way that I want it to, and sometimes my words get jumbled and I run off on tangents and lose my place in a story. So I do prefer writing it down, but I know a lot of people can relate more to a video. You can see the emotion and hear it in their voice, and not just kind of making, like, setting a scene in your head through reading it when you actually see it in person. So I kind of like to do both. I found a happy medium with them. I'm still trying to figure out how to do both because I'm not that great at this, but I am good at writing. So see, here I am going off one of those tangents. Thankfully, I didn't delete anything. It was really hard for me not to, because literally every single time I opened my Facebook or my Instagram, that is what I saw. And it was a lot for a while. I cannot tell you exactly when or how my mental health started to get better, and I stopped focusing on all the bad things and looking more optimistic and seeing how one day I will see those babies again. I will see my children again. And I kind of just I knew it was true, but I wouldn't let myself really believe that. I was sad and angry that I'm not able to raise them, that I never got to meet them, that I never got to hear their heartbeat, and all these things that you get to experience while raising a child and going through a pregnancy. I was angry that I didn't get to do that. So obviously I wasn't focused on really realizing that, yeah, I will get to hold them one day, maybe 80 years from now. One thing that really, really helped me and while going through this whole thing was when I was ready. I can't tell you, you don't know when you're just gonna just be ready. You just feel it one day, and you kind of are. So I think leaning on my faith and praying about it and asking for peace and for guidance as to what to do, pain, and where to put it, and how to handle it, essentially. One day I just started moving. I started putting the baby stuff away. I packed it up instead of leaving it out. I made a scrapbook for both babies of everything that we had collected throughout the pregnancies, for the losses, and even going through the losses, the things that we had collected, those, put them in a box or album, and just kept that and put it away. And it was like I was closing that chapter of my life, or starting to close it. It definitely helped with my mental health and how badly it affected me and how I was feeling. It definitely helped putting that stuff away. Another thing that helped was putting my focus on other things. Of course, not ignoring the fact that I had lost 2 babies, and not ignoring the pain, because that's not good. That's not something that you want to do. But I put my focus in working. I put my focus in my house and in my animals, and not really my physical health. I actually just started focusing on that. I was really focused on my mental health and didn't really think about trying to get my body healthier in general, even though that probably would have helped me get through mental health faster. I don't want to say emotionally, but it definitely would have helped mentally. Feeling physically better, mentally you feel better as well. So definitely focusing on other things helped. One really, really, really hard day that I remember that sticks out to me is I would have been 20 weeks on December 17th. And I had been doing so good. I had already made the scrapbooks, put the baby stuff away, and I thought that I was okay. I mean, obviously I still had triggers, and some things got to me and others didn't. I can't really pinpoint one thing. I honestly, just in the moment, I would feel some type of way, but there wasn't a particular moment that I can remember and just say that this affected me more than something else did. Obviously, everything right after the miscarriage affected me. Anything pregnancy or baby related bothered me. And then after a few weeks or a month, something wouldn't bother me about a baby or pregnancy, but something else pertaining to it would. So it kind of just depended on the situation. On that day, December 17th, it was really, really hard. I felt like I was backtracking in my mental health, essentially. I felt like I kept messing up at work, and I don't remember what I said. my coworkers or what time it was, but I remember sitting just getting back in my chair, rolling up to my counter and saying something along the lines of, "This is a very bad day," or "This is a crappy day." And one of my coworkers, not even 2 minutes later, came up to me, put her hand on my stomach, and whispered in my ear, "By this fall, your arms will be full." I was in complete shock because no one knew what I was talking about, and no one knew what that day was. No one. I mean, most of the branch knew that I had had a miscarriage, but no one knew what that day was. They didn't know it was my 20 weeks pregnant. No one knew that I would have been halfway through my pregnancy and that the baby would pretty much be fully developed and just growing. No one knew. So for her to come do that, I knew that it was God. This may sound so strange, and I haven't really told anyone this happened. The only person I told was another coworker that was sitting next to me, because she pretty much was seeing what was kind of happening and saw my face. And I told her that, and I told Brandon, and I haven't told anybody else this. I was shocked. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know how to feel, because you know how people say all the time that they see miracles happen, or they feel miracles happen, or they can feel the presence of God around them. Growing up, I've always been a Christian, and I grew up in a Christian home, but I'm going to be honest, I never really felt that feeling that people talk about. And throughout the couple of months that I have been going through this, there were things that I could feel God placing in my life. I knew that, like quotes or Bible verses that would show up on my Instagram. So instead of focusing on all these announcements that were coming out, I focused on the Bible verses that God was putting in front of my face. And I took the initiative with that and felt his presence that way. But when my coworker came up to me and said that and placed her hand on my stomach, I felt him, completely felt him. She's like the least person I'm closest to at the branch, the person that I had the least amount in common with, and she did this. We talked for a little while, and she said that she's had these experiences before. She just felt this urge, and she came over to me, and because she felt that God placed it in her heart to tell me, and that's exactly what she did, and I could not be more grateful. That day I posted that something incredible and shocking happened, but I didn't say what, but that's what happened. And I think since that day, that's when I started looking at things a little differently, and I could feel his arms around me. And before, I second guessed it. I think that that's when the bulk of my healing kind of started, on that day, December 17th. And ever since then, I could feel mentally and physically just so much better. I have been starting to organize my house and just preparing myself for the next time that we decide to try again and bring a baby home. So that's kind of where I'm at in my mental health. It's been almost 5 months since our second loss, and I'm obviously not 100% better, but I don't think anyone in a situation who has gone through something like this can be 100% better. Always going to remember those babies, and you're always going to remember that grief, but you're not always going to feel that way. And I think that's kind of where I am. I'm not every single day thinking about it and feeling sad. Yes, I think about my babies all the time, but I don't feel sad about it anymore. I feel grateful that I was able to share the time that I did with them, and that I know that one day I will see them again. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the genetic testing results of the fetus that we got back. We actually got these results back on our anniversary, on October 15th, 2021. My OB called me and my husband on the way to Atlanta to celebrate our 1-year wedding anniversary, which October 15th also happens to be pregnancy loss day. So that's very, very significant. And I was not aware of what that day was when we got married, but I do believe that God put that day in our life for a reason. Also the day we got together. So I knew what was going to happen for Brandon and I in our future going forward. So he put that date significantly for us because he knew that it was going to be significant to us. So I answered the call. We were halfway to Atlanta, and she told us that the baby was fine, that there was nothing genetically wrong with the baby. It was growing the correct way, and that there was nothing wrong with the tissue or the fetus that was growing inside of me. So the next step was to have my blood drawn to see if there was something wrong with me, to see if I had a blood clotting disorder that could cause a miscarriage. Considering this was my second one and they were back to back, very close together. The loss could have also possibly been because it was too close together. I hadn't even had my first cycle after my first miscarriage, but we were given the choice to go ahead and get the answers, given the fact that this was my second miscarriage, and I jumped on that because I like to know everything, in a sense that when I'm interested in something, I want the whole story. I can't just have a little bit, and I have to have it all. Like, I need to know everything. So I wanted to have all of my answers. The blood work to get tested myself to make sure I didn't have a disorder, and those results came back in December, and I was told that I am perfectly healthy. I have no clotting disorder that could cause a miscarriage. So she gave us the go-ahead to start trying again. He was on the call with us, but then later, after me and him were talking about it, he told me that he was ready to try again, that he wanted a baby and he wanted to be a father very, very bad, and I've known this for a long time. I actually found it very shocking when he told me this, because after our second loss, he said he didn't want to try again for a very long time and did not want to go through this again, and it was obviously excruciating for both of us, and we didn't know how we were going to handle it if it happened again. Me and Brandon are opposite in that he heals silently and I heal audibly. I talk about it and I get everything off of my chest because I don't like to keep things in, and he's the complete opposite. He doesn't talk about his feelings, he keeps it in, and he deals with it himself. And obviously I wasn't aware that he was fully okay because he doesn't really tell me too much. I mean, we talk, and our marriage is a lot better and in a very, very good place, and I'm very happy with it. Our communication is slowly getting better, and he does share with me a lot more than he used to. I never thought that he was like, once we got that information, that he was like, all right, let's just go for it. Let's jump in there and just do it. But I needed more time. I felt like I had just started or pretty much gotten over a lot of it, and I wanted to feel like myself again for a while and not just jump right back into it. I wanted more time. So after that, we received all of the information that we needed. We got the genetic results back and everything was fine, and we got my results back and I'm perfectly fine. So we believe, even this is something that we highly, highly thought it was, but we weren't sure because we didn't have all the answers. And now that we do have all the answers, well, medically the doctors say, these things happen. I am in that percentage that we don't know why I had a miscarriage. But we have a pretty good feeling, and now that we have all those answers, I feel like that this is the answer. My body wasn't ready to handle a healthy pregnancy again so soon after having my first. Like I said, I didn't even have my first cycle yet, so my body was not completely healed. So I couldn't carry a baby. So that is what I believe was the cause of the second miscarriage, and also what my husband believes and our family. Obviously, the doctor can't just come out and say this is what happened, because we obviously don't know for sure, but it is the most likeliest reason. I was just not completely healed, and my body couldn't handle a healthy pregnancy because it still needed more time. So now we are in the middle of January, and we have all of our answers, and now we're going to start trying again sometime this year. I don't want to plan anything. I kind of just want it to happen naturally. That's kind of where we are right now. Mentally, I feel completely healthy. As healthy as you can normally, like as a human can be. So I hope you guys liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I would love to have you guys on my channel. I plan on adding more and more content, more interactive with you. Hope that this video, gone through the same thing I've gone through or are going through it, this video helps you, and that some of the things or the examples that I said maybe help you cope through your miscarriage. And I'm praying for you. And thanks so much for watching and for being here with me and for following me along on this journey. I cannot believe that we've gone through what we've gone through, but we have made it through the other end. I have used God's strength to pull me, to push me through everything that has happened. And I've come out on the other end so much stronger and a more mature and better woman in the end. This experience has definitely matured me faster and more than I ever thought possible in this year. Things that used to be very important to me aren't, and now things that are important to me that weren't in the past. So thanks for being here with me, and I'll see y'all next time.